Part 112. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1113. Even Shenxiao and Suyuexi, or Feng Xiaoxiao in the origin continent, are particularly interesting, perhaps because they make him feel real. But Mu Xiaoxian, her beauty is not so real. She has a smile on her face that never changes, which can make many people obsessed. After Huangfu Feng left, she walked to Zhang Zizai and smiled. I heard that you and the Immortal Venerable have a girl, right? Then you must have been with the Immortal Venerable for a long time. Yes, Zhang Zizai nodded, and he looked at what she wanted to do with him. Ask you a question quietly, she said. You say. I want to ask, is the Immortal Venerable good looking? Mu Xiaoxian said. It's okay, sister. You are more beautiful. Zhang Zizai had a faint smile on his face. In fact, the other party's question is meaningless, so his answer can also be meaningless. As a result, she was happy, and laughed with the beauties around her, just like a sea of blooming flowers. She said, little friend, you are really interesting. No wonder you have such a relationship with the Immortal Venerable. Do you think that one day you can return to her side and travel around the world with her as you imagined before, and stay together forever? This question is thorny. If Zhang Zizai answered yes, then the Zilong Academy and the Supreme Dragon Clan would still be able to accommodate him. But if the answer is no, wouldn't it be heartless? But when people looked at how Zhang Zizai answered, he just smiled slightly and said, if my sister is willing to travel around the world with me and stay together forever, I might not think too much about meaningless things. Mu Xiaoxian was stunned. She found that this little guy was really smart. He used her to block the question she asked, and it was seamless, so that she couldn't continue to talk. After all, he was praising himself in his words. There will be a chance. Come and play with your sister often in the future. She smiled and turned away. A fragrant breeze swept by, and the beauties of their Xianlongmu family had already left. Everyone was left behind, pointing fingers at Zhang Zizai. Zhang Zizai originally wanted to let Lu Dingxing and the others challenge, but it was not very appropriate now. And the problem of Suqianyu's God King level magic weapon has not been solved yet. So he decided to go back temporarily. After a while, when the Tianlong God King solves Suqianyu's problem, they can challenge themselves. Without me, they might be able to move forward in a low-key manner. However, I have gained a lot today. The most important thing is that I can enter the Holy Dragon Mountain to practice. The Battle Dragon Pavilion, the Dragon Pagoda, and the True Dragon Secret Realm level 1 and 2 are not as rich as the resources of the Holy Dragon Mountain. Only 70 people can enter the entire Holy Dragon Mountain, and most of the time there may be only 30 or 40 people. Lu Dingxing and the others' goal is to rush forward on the Supreme List, but the biggest constraint at present is the realm, and they still need to grow in the realm. Another point, to be honest, there are many Supreme Dragon bloodlines in the Zilong Academy. Lu Dingxing's ancient demon bloodline is not very prominent here, and Suqianyu only got the God King level magic weapon, which is nothing, because many God Lords here directly have God King level magic weapons, and they are much smoother to use than Suqianyu. The higher the ranking of the Supreme List, the more monsters there are. When they reach a higher level, it may not be a problem to rush into the hundreds. Longyan should also be able to enter the 100 if she progresses faster in the realm. After all, at Zhang Zizai's age, Huangfu Li is already the 4th level of God Lord, and she is still ranked in the 90s. The next time is a boring cultivation life. Zhang Zizai's main energy is on honing the 5 Emperors' Dragon Seal. If this battle tactic can achieve the fusion of the 3 Dragon Seals, the power will be more terrible than it is now. During the cultivation process, Zhang Zizai suddenly had a whim. It seems that he hasn't entered the evolution realm for a long time. With his strength, can he explore the vortex in the sky? In fact, he had already traveled all over the evolutionary world. Below the vortex in the sky, there was a top-level source beast, the 12th grade source beast, that is, a holy source beast, and there were some god-level evolution sources. After Zhang Zizhe became an ancient god, he explored there and basically traveled all over. The most precious thing in the evolutionary world was a few god-level evolution sources, which were basically useless to him. But at that time, he found that it was still difficult to approach the huge vortex in the sky. He suddenly thought of this dim yellow vortex from the black vortex in the Origin Dragon Cave. After thinking about it, he planned to go to the vortex again to take a look anyway. He asked the other 3 people, they also wanted to go in and take a look, especially Lu Dingxing and Long Yan. They had all stayed in the evolutionary world for a while, and they also thought that the secrets of the evolutionary world seemed not so simple. The most basic, for example, Lu Dingxing's left eye, that was dropped from the vortex in the sky, and it was this eye that allowed Lu Dingxing, a mortal, to have the blood of the ancient demon god. Although this evolution world was obtained from the origin continent, I also feel that it is a bit confusing, Long Yan said. Let's go and see it this time. Zhang Zizhe gathered them and opened the door to the evolution world. To be honest, he even felt that there seemed to be some strange things in the origin continent, such as Zilongjiyuan, such as Zhang Junjian and Zhang Junjian under the king's city. For example, Shen Xiao and his parents. Even Long Yan's missing parents. The evolution world is also a place that is confusing. However, Zhang Zizhe didn't think too much. After the gate of the evolutionary world opened, the 4 of them entered it and appeared on the deserted island. This chapter is not yet finished, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Seeing things reminds me of people. It has not been long since I last saw Lingling, but when I came here, I couldn't help but think of her jumping around on this deserted island. Her laughter seemed to still be ringing in my ears. Let's go. Long Yan turned around and looked at Zhang Zizhe, who was in a daze. I will see her again, she said softly. I'm afraid she will grow up and forget her father. Zhang Zizhe felt a little uncomfortable. He couldn't predict what his daughter's future would be like. Without a father in her life, would she be happy? He gave too much love to this child. No, Lingling is very good, she said with a smile. Okay. Zhang Zizhe felt that he was too sad and a little embarrassed. He shook his head and smiled bitterly, and then went directly to the center of the vortex in the sky with them. At this time, he appeared under the vortex. If he went up, he might be swallowed up. Tell me, if I am swallowed up, will I never come back? Zhang Zizhe asked them. Try it and you will know, Lu Dingxing said. You are so brave. If it is not you, you are certainly not afraid of death. Zhang Zizhe laughed. I mean, let's go in together, Lu Dingxing said. Why? Intuition. As a woman's intuition, Zhang Zizhe laughed. Get lost, Lu Dingxing is a straight man. However, Zhang Zizhe is not joking. He really wants to go up and see what will be behind the vortex. 2 chapters today. Sorry, I am still working on the house recently. There are a lot of chores, so it has delayed some time. There should be another week. During this week, I will try my best to keep updating 4 chapters. When the house is finished this week, I will have time to write with peace of mind. To be honest, I like a stable life. After writing a book every day, I can play games, watch TV, and exercise. But sometimes I have to make a transition, such as moving house. In November, I will try to update more. Thank you for your understanding. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1114. Although the final decision was that everyone had to go up, it was a very risky behavior after all, so Zhang Zizhe decided to try it by himself first. Even if something happened, he should be able to escape by himself. Although he has made great progress during this period of time, Zhang Zizai is still extremely cautious when facing the dim yellow vortex that covers the entire sky. Now that he is stronger and has become a god, he has a different understanding of the evolution world. In the past, I thought that the evolution world was the private space of a certain ancient god, but now I know more and know that the ancient god has no such ability. With the current realm, it is obvious that this dim yellow vortex has a deterrent power similar to the origin dragon cave. He has the totem of chaos devouring the sky, so the feeling is not so strong, but the other three are still quite odd. However, Lu Dingxing does have a strong premonition that there may be other things above this vortex, and this premonition may come from the left eye. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. His intuitive premonition was helpful to Zhang Zizai's judgment. After a little preparation, he rushed towards the vortex in the sky without hesitation. When he was above a certain distance from the ground, he could feel the swallowing force of the dim yellow vortex swarming in, as if a criminal was finally caught, sucking Zhang Zizai towards the center of the vortex above. This suction force is indeed very similar to the suction force of the origin dragon cave, but it should be slightly smaller, especially when Zhang Zizai summoned the totem god to surround his body. He had a certain ability to resist, then it was even smaller. He could also slowly and freely approach the center of the vortex. Since he came up, he was ready to go in and take a look, so he just stabilized his body, but did not break free from the shackles of the vortex. Finally, at that moment, he was swallowed into the dim yellow vortex. The moment he entered the center of the vortex, he suddenly felt empty in front of his eyes, and his body suddenly became relaxed. He felt like he was sinking to the bottom of the water. At this time, he did not resist, and his body seemed to float up, and the surroundings looked like a dim yellow passage. It was calm here, and there was no violent and chaotic feeling in the vortex just now. Even quiet, a little dead. In the next moment, he had floated to a higher position, and his eyes suddenly became clear. He should have left the range of the dim yellow vortex. At this moment, Zhang Zizai ascended, and he really came to a new world. Before becoming a god, he really didn't expect that there was another world above the evolution world. Whether this is the evolution world, the second level of the evolution world, or other worlds, Zhang Zizai is still unclear, but he knows that this world must have great exploration value. He began to observe this brand new world. First, there was a dim yellow vortex under his feet. This vortex was a smaller version of the dim yellow vortex in the sky below. It was only a dozen feet and not very large. This dim yellow vortex rotated in the opposite direction, so there was no suction. There was wind blowing upwards, just like the wind sucked up from below blowing upwards here. Zhang Zizai could float in the sky without any effort. He tried it and should be able to go down and return to the first level of the evolutionary world. So this seemingly terrifying vortex is actually just a simple passage. Zhang Zizai was scared enough before and didn't dare to get close at all. Now it is roughly confirmed that this is just a passage. After that, he focused on this new world now. First of all, in addition to the dim yellow vortex under his feet, there is endless black land. This is an extremely desolate world. Even if there are trees, they are black and steel like dead trees. In addition, there are black sand and strange rocks everywhere. Within the field of vision, there is still diffuse black fog lingering everywhere. This is nothing. What really shocked Zhang Zizai is in the sky. Now as long as he looks up, he can see a sky similar to the evolution world below. Above this sky, there is still an endless vortex. This vortex looks bigger, and unlike the dim yellow vortex, this vortex is more ferocious, because it is a completely blood-red vortex, an endlessly rotating sea of blood. Zhang Zizai's current position is at the edge of this blood sea vortex, which also has a center and seems to be connected to the top. Seeing this blood-colored vortex, Zhang Zizai couldn't help but wonder, is there another world above this world? That would be really amazing. It seems that he only knows a little bit about the wonders of the evolution world. The black earth, the blood-colored sky vortex, compared with the world below, this world seems to be really peaceful and tranquil. Zhang Zizai naturally wanted to explore this world to see what the relationship was between this place and the evolutionary world below, or to say that this place was part of the evolutionary world. He first went down and returned to the evolutionary world below. Longyan and the others were already worried and waiting, and they were relieved when they saw Zhang Zizai appear. Let's go up and take a look. This time, Zhang Zizai led the four of them and easily passed through the vortex passage and came to the world above. There is a second level in the evolution world. I'm not sure if this is also the evolution world. We'll know if we go to the center of the vortex. Maybe there is another world above this bloody vortex. This location is the center of the world below, but it is the edge of this place. It is surrounded by flat black land, which is endless. There is black gravel underfoot. This should be a black desert. At present, there is nothing in this world. I remember that when Zhang Zizai first came to the evolution world, he saw a lot of evolution sources. His biggest question now is, does this belong to the evolution world? The four of them started to move forward in this barren black desert. This world is more gloomy and there are unpredictable risks, so Zhang Zizai needs to be more cautious with them. The blood mist of the bloody vortex above the sky spread down and swept downwards. The closer to the center of the vortex, the more diffuse the blood mist. The totem god image can not only fight, but also be used in battle. Even if it is destroyed in danger, it can be restored after a while. So Zhang Zizai followed behind the four of them, and his totem god image, chaos-swallowing sky dragon, was flying in the desert. Everything it saw was what Zhang Zizai could see. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1115. After all, the totem god is not a physical entity, so there is almost no movement, which is considered silent. Less than a quarter of an hour after setting off, Zhang Zizai's totem god found footprints in the desert. The wind and sand here are very strong. Once there are footprints, they will soon be buried by the sand and dust, but the footprints still exist, indicating that the creatures passing by have just left here. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. The footprints are densely packed, and they should be a group, not human footprints, but a group of large beasts. So this world is just like the one below, with many source beasts. He controlled the totem god, and the black shadow followed the footprints. He soon found that there seemed to be colorful light shining in the black world ahead. When he got closer, he suddenly found that it was a wolf pack. The wolves in this wolf pack had colorful hair, the color was very gorgeous, and the body was extremely huge. The breath of their flesh and blood was very strong, which obviously surpassed the holy source beast. It was a kind of power equivalent to the ancient god source power, called the beast god source power. There is no doubt that this group of wolves is not as simple as the holy source beast. The strongest evolution source below is the holy source beast, but when Zhang Zizai came here, he directly encountered a divine beast. Divine beasts have the same killing power as ancient gods. Their beast god source power and means may be inferior, but their flesh and blood power is much stronger than the ancient god's body. They are smarter than source beasts, but they still can't practice god-level battle tactics. However, they have the totem magic of their ancestors in their blood, and when they are used, their power is also very huge. Although Longyan is not a divine beast, she also has some similar magic. For example, her means of devouring the blood world and refining blood into gas are very terrible, but she herself doesn't like to use them very much. It's the Aurora wolf, which can control several kinds of power. The young ones are equivalent to the ancient gods, and the adults can basically reach the 5th level of the ancient gods. There are actually divine beasts here. And this is a relatively remote corner of this world, Xuanhuan said with a little shock. Divine beast, then, is it possible that there is a better source of evolution here than below? Does it mean that this is the 2nd level of the evolution world? Is it also part of the evolution world? Zhang Zizai squinted his eyes and said to these aurora wolves in the distance. Follow them and you'll find out. They were far away, and Zhang Zizai followed the group of aurora wolves with the totem god, and was not discovered. He counted and found that there were hundreds of aurora wolves, most of which were adults. Even if they were about the 5th level of ancient gods, it would be very troublesome to take them all down. Of course, he didn't have any intention of taking action. After all, there was no grudge or hatred, and they didn't bother each other. He followed them down, and finally the group of aurora wolves left the desert and came to a continuous black mountain range. The mountain walls here were very steep and there were basically no trees, but the blood mist and black mist were very thick, and the brilliance of the aurora wolves could not be concealed, so it was easy to follow. Soon, they should have reached their nest, which was a deep abyss. They jumped down one after another, and the abyss was lit up for a while. It was very noisy below. It turned out that many old, weak, women and children came out to greet them, and the wolves were playing together. This underground abyss is their territory. Zhang Zizai's totem image went a little deeper, and at the deepest part of the abyss, he saw what he expected. The evolution source is the god-level evolution source heavenly aurora. They really absorbed the power of the evolution source and evolved slowly, Zhang Zizai said. God level. It was the first time they heard that there was a god-level evolution source in the evolution world, and they were quite surprised. You know, it was not so easy for them to get the god-level evolution source in the Qingchuan small divine domain. The highest level of the evolution world in the lower level is the god-level evolution source. I didn't expect that such a treasure would appear here. The heavenly aurora has no effect on them, but the key is that the god-level evolution source appeared here, which means that there may be better treasures in the center of the blood-colored vortex. In this 2nd level of the evolution world, at least all are divine beasts. The evolution sources are at least above the god level. In addition to the god-level evolution source heavenly aurora, there are more than a dozen god-level evolution sources, which should be all the property of this wolf pack. We can be sure if we go forward, Lu Dingxing said. He can now speak much more fluently than before. The Sky Realm Aurora is not available to Zhang Zizai and the other 4 for the time being, but this god-level evolution source is useful to the people around Zhang Zizai. After all, it is also a top-level wealth. It will be great to give it to Zhang Yuning and the others in the future. Since he encountered it, Zhang Zizai took action directly. He did not move his body, but sneaked into it directly with the totem god image. The aurora wolf did not see the action of the totem god image for a while. When they felt the danger, Zhang Zizai had already appeared in the Sky Realm Aurora and swallowed the Sky Realm Aurora directly into his stomach. Awoo! For a while, countless aurora wolves roared wildly and furiously, but it was a pity that Zhang Zizai's totem god image got it and ran very fast in the end, almost rushing out in the blink of an eye. Hundreds of aurora wolves chased out, but they could only see the invisible totem god image escaping into the darkness and completely lost its trace. Not far away in the opposite direction, the totem god had already circled back from here. Zhang Zizai easily took the aurora of the sky into his bag and checked it. It turned out to be a god-level source of evolution, genuine. This harvest is just the beginning. In order to verify their conjecture, they continued to move forward and specifically looked for places where divine beasts existed. Sure enough, the 2nd level of the evolutionary world is at least full of divine beasts. Many of them have their own evolution sources, but most of them are god-level evolution sources. It can be said that there are a lot of god-level evolution sources, but there are still a little fewer god-level evolution sources like the aurora wolf last time. Now the conjecture is basically established. This is the second level of the evolutionary world. There are at least divine beasts here, at least God-level evolution sources. As for what will be above, I don't know. Maybe there will be a God-King level evolution source? If so, it would be exaggerated. After all, even in the dragon sacrifice divine domain, it is hard to find a God-King level evolution source. If so, then in the future, I will be like a rich man, carrying a base of God-King level evolution sources with me. What is the concept? It's not too early to be happy now. I have to go to the center of the vortex. In this way, this world is really getting more mysterious. After getting the aurora of the sky realm, they continued to move forward. This time they did not rush back to the Zilong Academy. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1116. About 10 days later, they walked from the desert to the mountain abyss, then walked through a black deep sea, and finally landed again, reaching the endless mountain abyss again. The terrain here seemed much higher than before, and closer to the blood-colored vortex in the sky. It seemed that you could touch it by looking up. In these 10 days, they really encountered thousands of divine beasts. This is a world of divine beasts. Almost every divine beast has a divine-level evolution source. So far, Zhang Zizhe has seen 10,000 divine-level evolution sources. He took more than 3,000 of them and planned to return to the great Zhongqing city when the time comes. He can train a group of super elites for his brother. There are slightly fewer divine king-level evolution sources. Only those large groups of divine beasts, or divine beasts close to the realm of divine kings, can have them. The scale encountered in these 10 days is relatively small, so there are more than 20 divine king-level evolution sources. At this location, looking up, this is almost the core of this world. The bloody vortex is just above the head. If you walk 5 days further, you may reach the bottom of the vortex. At this place, the number of divine beasts is much less, but once they appear, their level and strength will be very high. Zhang Zizhe has encountered divine beasts comparable to the Lord of Gods. This kind of divine beast is one level higher than ordinary divine beasts and is usually called Lord of Divine Beasts. Lord is a small king. Any Lord of Beasts is the king of ordinary divine beasts. There are also divine beasts comparable to the Lord of Gods. There are some in the sacrifice dragon divine domain. The kind called the Lord of Divine Beasts is the real emperor among the divine beasts, which is much more terrifying than the Lord of Divine Beasts. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Usually, if he can still deal with the Divine Beast King, he will follow some of them, but if they are comparable to the 5th or 6th level of the Divine Beast King, he will basically choose to give up. Because he still wants to go forward to confirm his guess, that is, whether there is a Divine King level evolution source in the 2nd level of this evolutionary world. If there is, it is of extraordinary significance. He continued to move forward. There were many Divine King level evolution sources in this position, but the opponent was not so easy to deal with. There would be plenty of opportunities to deal with them in the future, so he began to move forward with his head down, to see if he could avoid most of the divine beasts this time and reach the center of the vortex of the 2nd level of this evolutionary world. After 3 days of moving forward in hiding, this place is already very close to the core area. It must be said that there is black fog and blood fog everywhere, the range of vision is already very small, and it is simply full of dangers, and the terrifying breath of the Divine Beast King is everywhere. If there is a Divine King level evolution source here, then there must be a Divine Beast King. This is the reason why Zhang Zizhe is cautious. After all, the divine beasts here are almost all extremely vicious. Once you encounter such an existence, your life may be lost here. There are black stone forests everywhere here. The stone forest is tall and thin, and hundreds of thousands of them are piled together, just like a forest. You can get lost walking in it. Zhang Zizai stayed in place, and he still used the totem god to explore the way. The totem god must not be too far away from the main body. They took a detour to come here. This is already a very dangerous place. Not long ago, Zhang Zizai saw a divine beast that was at least comparable to the 8th level of the divine king. Fortunately, it was not discovered by it, otherwise it would be troublesome. A strange black dragon, trying to become very small, shuttled through this black and strange stone forest. He was also patient and only looked at it bit by bit. Basically, he would avoid the breath of a powerful beast. The powerful beasts here basically occupy their own territory. Anyone who is found to break in will definitely cause a fight. Most of the time, they should be at peace with each other, because they may have their own evolutionary sources. But if there is a fight, Zhang Zizai will have a chance. After all, his totem god is silent. He shuttled through the stone forest. Inadvertently, he suddenly saw that there seemed to be an open space in the middle of the stone forest in front of him. The open space should be an altar. The altar was completely black and had many blood-colored symbols on it. These were nothing. Anyway, this place was weird. But in the next moment, he suddenly saw a black and white stone in the center of the altar. The black and white stone was in the shape of a sphere. It looked simple, but it was very strange if you looked closely. Many people may not have any reaction when seeing this black and white stone, but Zhang Zizai himself was shocked, because he was a person who had received the inheritance of the god of war, so he went to learn about the god of war. The totem of the god of war was the Great Fortune Yin-Yang War Dragon Totem, and the evolution source of his achievement of the god of war was a top-level god of war evolution source called Great Fortune Yin-Yang. So he learned a little about the details of this Great Fortune Yin-Yang, and what shocked him at this moment was that the spherical stone in the center of the black altar that suddenly appeared was very similar to the god of war evolution source Great Fortune Yin-Yang described. The seemingly ordinary stone actually contains the terrifying power of Great Fortune Yin-Yang. This kind of evolution source can be ranked among the god of war evolution sources. The fact that the god of war was so powerful in the past has a lot to do with this Great Fortune Yin-Yang evolution source. Between heaven and earth, the power of the extreme yin and the extreme yang can be used by this evolution source. Zhang Zizai didn't know the specific details, but when he knew that this black and white stone was probably the source of the great fortune of yin and yang evolution, he was very excited. The key was at this moment, when the ground shook suddenly. He looked towards the center of the vortex. The distant sky was engulfed by blood-colored clouds, but it was obvious that two terrible beasts were fighting. The noise of the battle was too loud, and it was obviously a beast comparable to the God King. Could it be that this stone forest is the territory of one of the beasts, and it just happened to go to fight? Zhang Zizai became bolder when he thought of this. Anyway, he came here as a totem god, and he could leave the evolution source at any time, so his body had already opened the door to the evolution world. About a quarter of an hour later, the door to the evolution world was about to be opened, and when the battle over there reached a white-hot stage, Zhang Zizai's totem god suddenly moved forward and rushed into the altar. When he entered the altar suddenly became very scary. Sure enough, the black and white stone was guarded here. Now the countless blood-colored symbols on the altar were dazzlingly shining. It can be seen that those blood-colored symbols were all blood-red bats. These symbols turned into blood-colored bats and came towards Zhang Zizai in this totem god. It was even more terrifying than his 300 sacrificial dragons. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1117. Obviously, this is a method similar to the totem formation, and after the blood-colored bats on the altar appeared, a sharp and piercing sound was also heard from the battlefield, and it was obvious that the owner of the altar was returning. Zhang Zizai didn't stop at nothing and fought directly. Anyway, he was a totem god, so he simply turned into a black vortex and smashed it over there. In this way, a strange change occurred. Those blood-colored bats rushed into the black vortex and were directly absorbed by Zhang Zizai, without hurting his totem god at all. The next moment, he got the black and white stone safely. There were almost tens of thousands of blood-colored bats just now, and now they were all swallowed by the black vortex. I thought it could tear Zhang Zizai apart, but I didn't expect that there was nothing left at this moment. Even Zhang Zizai himself was stunned. This totem power is so useful? He didn't have time to think too much. The terrifying beast was obviously returning. He ran away with the black and white stone without saying a word. On the other side, Long Yan and the other three had already returned from the gate of the evolutionary world, leaving Zhang Zizai standing at the door, waiting for the return of his totem god. The totem god returned quickly, and Zhang Zizai was confused throughout the whole process. The chasing beast was so powerful. The more powerful it was, the more precious the black and white stone was. It might be the great fortune of yin and yang. The God-King level evolution source, that value is against the sky. Finally, his totem god returned with the black and white stone. Of course, at the same time, there was also a blood-colored bat in the sky that covered the sky. What's more terrifying is that the blood-colored bat has two heads, one is black and presents a purple color, and the other looks pale, as if it has faded. This is probably due to the long-term influence of the black and white stone. The blood-prisoned twin demons, Zhang Zizai's eyes widened, and there was still some fear in his heart. He had read some information, and the beast chasing him now was the famous Beast King. There really was a Beast King here, and he could be more sure that the source of evolution was the great fortune of yin and yang. The blood-prisoned twin demons were very scary, and they could send Zhang Zizai to hell in an instant, but fortunately, they did not lock Zhang Zizai's position at first, until Zhang Zizai's totem god image returned to the main body, and it seemed to notice it. But it was a little late, and the moment Zhang Zizai's totem god image returned, he rushed directly into the gate of the evolutionary world. The world was destroyed behind him, and the movement was terrible. Fortunately, the gate of the evolutionary world was closed, otherwise he would really die. Even so, Zhang Zizai still had lingering fears. If the blood-prisoned twin demons knew the mechanism of the gate of the evolutionary world, and knew that the next time Zhang Zizai returned to the evolutionary world, they would appear at that location and wait for Zhang Zizai there, he would be in danger. In any case, he dared not go back for a short time. The four of them were in Zhang Zizai's Qianlong Palace. Is it the great fortune yin and yang? Everyone asked nervously. Zhang Zizai took out the black and white stone and said, "You will know if you try to evolve it." He took a look and thought it was not suitable for Long Yan, so he set his sights on Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan, because the great fortune yin and yang was highly adaptable and could be used by many people, and both of them should be able to use it. Zhang Zizai was inclined to give it to Lu Dingxing. After all, they grew up together, but Lu Dingxing said directly, "Give it to Xuanhuan, he is suitable, and recently, he urgently needs confidence." Okay, Zhang Zizai would not talk nonsense with him, and with his personality, he could get this great fortune yin and yang today, and he did not believe that he could not get better in the future. Once it was available, he would definitely prepare it for Lu Dingxing. Xuanhuan had never expected that this would belong to him. So he was a little confused and said, "Boss, give it to the panda." Stop talking nonsense. We are brothers." Zhang Zizai handed it to him directly and said, "Put more thought into it and see if we can evolve successfully." Xuanhuan took a deep breath. He looked at them deeply and suddenly smiled. He said, "Then I won't be polite. I won't say much about gratitude. You are right. We are brothers. I can have what I have today thanks to the help of the two brothers. I hope that one day in the future, I can help you in the same way. Don't be stressed. Just let it go." Zhang Zizai smiled and patted his shoulder. In fact, he was still looking forward to this evolution, so they retreated directly to let Xuanhuan evolve safely. "Boss, what do you think will be above this level?" Lu Dingxing asked with yearning and curiosity. "There is another evolutionary realm," Zhang Zizai daydreamed. "Doesn't that mean that there is an evolutionary source for becoming a god?" Long Yan showed surprise. "It's possible," Zhang Zizai smiled. "How is it possible?" She shook her head, and the meaning was even more extraordinary. "Haha, I was joking too," Zhang Zizai said. In fact, he really couldn't imagine that there was another layer above. How terrible it would be. In fact, even if there is another layer above, we can't do anything. Why? Because the one who guards and possesses the source of evolution of the gods must be a divine beast comparable to the gods. Can it be stolen without anyone noticing like this time? Thinking of the divine beast comparable to the gods, they were all at a loss. So for the time being, there is no need to think about the upper layer. The existence of the divine beast king on this layer is already scary enough. Now they are all waiting. Zhang Zizai had a feeling that this evolution should be successful. They waited for 3 days. On the 4th day, Xuanhuan opened the door and walked out. At this moment, his temperament was completely different. The first change was in his eyes. He had no pupils. The left eye was pure black, with no difference between the white of the eye and the pupil, all black, like a deep abyss, bottomless. The right eye was pure white, also without white of the eye and pupil, all pure white. He was surrounded by a terrifying sword aura. This sharp feeling came from the totem between his eyebrows. There were 2 swords, standing crosswise, one black and one white. This is the Great Fortune Yin-Yang Sword Totem. What is the power? Zhang Zizai remembered that this kind of evolution source was an evolution source that could change the nature of the ancient god source power. For example, the ancient golden holy mountain, this evolution source belongs to the strengthening of the god body. Some evolution sources can also strengthen the soul. The Great Fortune Yin and Yang strengthens the god source, and strengthens it again on the basis of the god source itself. It is divided into 2 parts. Great Fortune is a kind of nature power. The Great Fortune ancient god source power has a terrifying level of destructive effect. Yin and Yang is to divide the god source into 2, one part is Yin and the other part is Yang. After the separation, the 2 are superimposed, which exceeds the original number by at least 50%. If it goes as expected, Xuanhuan not only advances a level in realm, but the Great Fortune Yin and Yang sword chi bursting from the ancient god source power will be quite lethal, especially when it is used with the Wang Chuan sword. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1118. Xuanhuan's progress in Totem this time is enough to make him rank up a lot on the supreme list. After all, among the God King level evolution sources, the Great Fortune Yin and Yang is also quite top-notch. The Wang Chuan sword can continue to guide him, making it easy for him to become a God King. More than 95% of those who can come to Zilong Academy are sure to become God Kings. Xuanhuan is not really outstanding among this group of people. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. He didn't say much about thanking him, but with his personality, he would repay a drop of water with a spring, let alone this kind of thing. Zhang Zizai has entered a new rhythm. This sacrifice dragon divine domain is indeed suitable for his growth, and Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan need other progress and fortune to catch up with his fortune. With a place like the second level of the evolutionary world, there are indeed infinite possibilities. Although the danger there is greater, and the threat of the blood prison twin demons last time was like a thorn in the back, but these evolution sources are enough to make people crazy. Zhang Zizai now has a lot of god-level evolution sources on him. He plans to share them with his relatives and friends when he returns to the Qingchuan Small Divine Realm and the Well of the Divine Realm next time. The daily training of the three of them is also relatively boring. After that, they often go to the Battle Dragon Pavilion, the Divine Dragon Pagoda and the True Dragon Secret Realm. Zhang Zizai dare not go back to the evolutionary world for the time being, so he decided to go to the legendary Holy Dragon Mountain first. He heard that the reason why the Holy Dragon Mountain was named this way was that it had a lot to do with the concept of the Holy Dragon of the Holy Dragon clan. It was said that the development of the concept of the Holy Dragon had a lot to do with the Holy Dragon Mountain. However, people today no longer believed in the Holy Dragon. The pure blood of the four Supreme Dragon clans crushed everything. It can be seen from the Supreme list that if the Holy Dragon is cultivated without knowing the consequences, it would only make the Holy Dragon clan even more decadent. As the first-class secret realm of the Zilong Academy, the Holy Dragon Mountain has many legends. Many top powerhouses have been blessed here and have soared to the sky since then. It can be said that the closure of the Zilong Academy and the vacancy of the Holy Dragon Mountain for such a long time are simply an endless loss. Zhang Zizai set out alone this time and passed through the Sacrifice Dragon Palace by himself and came to the Zilong Palace, the most central location of the entire Zilong Academy. The palaces of the 5 palace masters are here, and they are estimated to be away for a long time. As long as there are no conflicts between so many dragon sacrifice masters, it is enough to deal with them. There are countless geniuses in the Zilong Academy, but Zhang Zizai's reputation is indeed extremely famous. Now, no matter where he goes, people will still point fingers at him. Occasionally, someone will smile and say hello to him, but after turning around, they will start talking to the people around them. It's nothing more than speculation about Zhang Zizai's tragic fate in the future. Zhang Zizai can only laugh at this. Is this the Holy Dragon Mountain? It is said that he is cultivating the road of the Holy Dragon, so the Holy Dragon Mountain is quite suitable for him. Road of the Holy Dragon? The so-called Holy Dragon has long been proved to be a huge joke. How can anyone still believe it? Tisk tisk, who knows? There are always some people who don't know pain unless they get their heads broken and bloody. Our Supreme Dragon clan has survived to this day by relying on the purity and nobility of our blood. Any mixed blood will cause the top blood to fail. The Holy Dragon clan was originally a group of mixed blood. If they don't disband and return to the pattern of the 4 Supreme Dragon clans, they will be considered a clan and be on an equal footing with us. It looks like a joke. Look at the Supreme list. Most of the first half are our 4 Supreme Dragon clans, and the second half are the Holy Dragon clan. They have a large number of people, but they are all crooked. When they spoke with a sarcastic smile, they didn't care about the presence of the Holy Dragon clan. The Bright Dragon clan gave Zhang Zizai a lot of luck and opportunities, so he naturally stood on the side of the Holy Dragon clan. During this period of time, it can be felt that the 4 Supreme Dragon clans are different from the Holy Dragon clan. When they face the Holy Dragon clan, they are arrogant in their bones. He just didn't bother to pay attention and came directly to the Zilong Palace. The Holy Dragon Mountain is in a palace called the Holy Dragon Temple. Zhang Zizai came to the door. The outside of the Holy Dragon Temple was very empty, and the door was open. It seemed that no one was supervising. But Zhang Zizai knew that there must be a dragon sacrifice master stationed here. He just met the conditions, so the dragon sacrifice master did not stop him. He walked in and looked inside from the outside. There was nothing inside. When he stepped into the door, he stepped into the air. It felt like he had passed through the door of the evolution world. It should be another space. This space is obviously not as huge as the evolution world, but it also has its own system. This is the Holy Dragon Mountain. This is a black and empty space, just like a dark starry sky, without a single star. There is only one thing in the whole world, but even if there is only one thing, it is enough to occupy the sight of all the people who come in. It is a colorful mountain. Now there is still some distance from there, so the whole picture of the 9-color mountain can be seen clearly. This whole straight mountain is divided into 9 parts, each part is a color, and each part is like a gem, shining brightly, which makes this 9-color mountain look particularly shining. I didn't expect the Holy Dragon Mountain to be so shining. Zhang Zizai had a preliminary understanding of the Holy Dragon Mountain from the disciples learning rules. There are many good fortunes in it. The ancestors also hid a lot of cultivation experience, battle tactics, and skills here, which are the essence of the Supreme Dragon Clan. However, the most attractive thing is the magical fortune like the Forbidden Dragon Mysterious Jade. Some things can't be explained clearly where they come from, but they can make people reborn. Moreover, the scale of the divine energy in the Holy Dragon Mountain is particularly large. It seems that a small space exists almost in a liquid state. He quickly approached the Holy Dragon Mountain. The closer he got, the more he found it to be huge, until finally in his field of vision, it could be said to cover the sky and the sun. The direction he was heading to was a green area. The rocks in this area were all green and emitted a hazy light. This was a relatively low part of the Holy Dragon Mountain. Even so, it was very large. The location Zhang Zizai locked onto was the core of this green area. He felt that there were some people gathered there. Where there were people, it must be the best place, so he quickly approached that place. No one has been here for a long time, but there is a very clean feeling everywhere. Those trees with green trunks have existed for who knows how many tens of thousands of years, but they are not very big. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1119. Zhang Zizai. Before he got there, someone called him from behind. Zhang Zizai turned around and saw a big fat man standing behind him. This was very rare. He hadn't seen a fat man for a long time. Well, the fat people seen in the origin continent are basically mortals with bad lifestyles, and this is the Holy Dragon Mountain, which shows that this person can be ranked in the top 100 on the Supreme list, and he has such a fat body shape. Look, it looked greasy, like a round ball. Zhang Zizai could only think that maybe the shape had something to do with his ability. Because not only his body, but also his head is round, his chin is several times heavy, his eyes are almost squeezed out of sight, and his nose is shrunk. The only thing that stands out is that he actually has a head. Although the blood-colored hair is messy, the color is very pure. Although his appearance is a bit strange, it has to be said that Zhang Zizai knows that this person must be very powerful. He definitely did not come to the Holy Dragon Mountain through the back door. His appearance here almost means that he is at least Xuanhuan's level. In other words, at about Zhang Zizai's age, he should have the strength of the 4th level of the Divine King realm. You called me, Zhang Zizai turned around and asked. Nonsense, who else are you calling me? Is there another handsome man named Zhang Zizai in the world? The big fat man chuckled. Although his eyes were small, they were evil and shone when he looked at people. Like a fat mouse. He actually called himself a handsome man, which made Zhang Zizai feel good. Finally, there was someone who didn't feel bitter and resentful when he saw him, thinking that Zhang Zizai had a deep hatred for them. Is something wrong? Zhang Zizai asked with a smile. It is very rare to reach out and not hit the smiling person, but the other person talks to me with a smile on his face, which is very rare in this ancestral dragon academy. It's not a big deal. This Holy Dragon Mountain is just so big. We just happened to meet each other. Let's get to know each other and make friends. I read it when you fought Xuanhuan that day. One word, hard, he chuckled. When he smiled, his chin and the fat on his body were trembling. After he finished speaking, he followed up and said, my name is Xuanhuan. From this name, you know that I am a very outstanding person. Whether it is appearance or strength and talent, I have always been outstanding in the whole world. The Ancestral Dragon Academy is a top-notch existence. I come from the demonic dragon celestial clan. He probably doesn't know a few people from the demonic dragon celestial clan, right? Zhang Zizai had already figured out that he was probably from the demonic dragon celestial clan. Now I already know one. Zhang Zizai was a little impressed by his name. He thought about it for a moment. When he looked at the ranking of Huangfu Li, he took a look at the names on the left and right, and it seemed that one of them was named Tuabasia. So he asked, "Are you ranked 92 on the supreme list?" "That's right, one place lower than you. The two of us are right next to each other on the supreme list, as if we have a physical connection." "Do you think it's fate?" he said with a smile. When Zhang Zizai saw his fat, he was instantly disgusted and said, please move away. "Don't be shy, haha." This guy was really thick-skinned, and he still walked side by side with Zhang Zizai. "No kidding, it's rare to meet a strange person like you. I'm really curious. Is this your first time coming to the Holy Dragon Mountain today?" he asked, putting away his playful smile. Indeed, Zhang Zizai nodded. "First time here? Then you must first see the Kowloon Bell. This is an important part of the Holy Dragon Mountain. It is the top creation in it. Everyone who just comes in must first see the Kowloon Bell. Say more." Kowloon Bell, the description of the Holy Dragon Mountain that Zhang Zizai read was relatively brief, so he actually knew nothing about this place now. "Yes, the direction you are heading now is the direction of the Chaos Thunder Bell. How many people are there who can show you around? I know you are a rare genius from the small god realm. So, today, brother, I will show you my love, let you feel my warmth." Zhang Zizai ignored his chattering, but observed him and suddenly asked, "Your level doesn't seem to be that high. Could it be that you are not too old? Can't you tell? I'm so immature, I look like I'm just over 20." Tuabaxi said. No wonder, Zhang Zizai could really tell that there was a difference between him and Huangfu Li. Huangfu Li's pressure and aura were much stronger, while he was similar to Huangfu Li in the time reverse dragon formation. It turns out that Tuabaxia is still a genius of his age. With his talent, he should be ranked among the top in the entire Supreme Dragon clan. After all, most of the geniuses on the Supreme list are over 20. Compared with him, Baimu was indeed far behind. Sure enough, people cannot be judged by their appearance. In the entire Supreme Dragon clan, at our age, you and I should be considered the best in terms of combat prowess. As far as I know, there are only 2 people ranked higher than me on the Supreme list. Hee, of course now there are 3, and that's you, Tuabaxi said. That is to say, at least in the same age group, Zhang Zizai is among the top 5 beings in the entire Supreme Dragon clan. In recent times, his realm may still be at the first level of the Divine Lord, but his combat power has indeed expanded greatly. The 4 creations of Destruction Divine Source, Holy Dragon Celestial Body, Chaos Devouring Heaven, and Forbidden Dragon Divine Aspect make it comparable to the super geniuses at the 4th level of the Divine Aspect realm, which is considered a miracle. Of course, in this Ancestral Dragon Academy, you will not just compare with people of the same age, but compete with all the top gods here. The ranking on the Supreme list is especially important. Zhang Zizai has landed on the Holy Dragon Mountain, a place with a very rich spiritual energy. With the Holy Dragon Mountain, it is estimated that no one is willing to go back to the Hidden Dragon Palace to practice, because the effect there is too different from here. In fact, those who have a place in the True Dragon Secret Realm will basically not go back, and the places in the Battle Dragon Pavilion and the Dragon Pagoda are limited, and it is impossible to stay there forever. This is also the significance of the ranking of the Supreme List. The first ranking of the Supreme List was evaluated and ranked by the 5 Palace Masters and Dragon Priests. There are some unfair places. For example, if a buried genius is ranked in the 9,000th place, he will have to fight a lot before he can come to the Holy Dragon Mountain. However, This situation will be rare in the future, because as long as the Zilong Academy stabilizes, the Supreme List will adjust itself, and in the end it will truly reflect everyone's talent and potential. After Zhang Zizai landed on the Holy Dragon Mountain, he said, "What's the matter with the 9 Dragon Bell you just mentioned? Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels." Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1120. He had already seen that there was a step at his position. This step went up to the highest point. There seemed to be an awe-inspiring divine object. He originally wanted to reach the highest point directly, but Tuobasia led him away. After arriving here, he also said that he must be sincere towards the Chaos Thunder Bell. Climbing up from this step represents sincerity. The Kowloon Bell is one of the 9 celestial artifacts that was born in the Holy Dragon Mountain in the oldest time. "Do you know what a celestial artifact is?" Tuobasia asked. Zhang Zizai had never heard of it. The highest level of the totem weapons we create is the God King level. The gods have the ability to forge the God King level totem weapons. Some gods use the weapons they forged. That is their natal weapon. It is more powerful than ordinary God King level weapons, but in fact, there is a more terrifying weapon between heaven and earth. Speaking of this, Tuobasia became a little fanatical. He said, "That is the celestial artifact. The celestial artifact is born from heaven and earth. Even the gods cannot create it. Since ancient times, every celestial artifact has powerful power. The powerful destructive power of Wanja, Gushuajin, is unmatched by the God King level totem weapons. How can weapons be born in heaven and earth?" Zhang Zizai was a little confused. The source of evolution is born from heaven and earth, and the spiritual energy also comes from heaven and earth, so why can't heaven and earth give birth to weapons? You will know when you see it later. Heavenly artifacts are different from ordinary weapons. They have broken away from the category of weapons. It's like a kind of life, but just like weapons, they can exert their own terrible power in the hands of the controller, which is the power directly given to them by heaven and earth, Tuobasia said excitedly. Zhang Zizi believed that Tuobasia was indeed guiding him to know this place. He knew the power of God King level weapons. All of Sukyunyu's talents came from the God King level Wangchuan sword, and now it sounded like everything in the world was. The celestial artifacts that were born seemed to be much more terrifying than the God King level weapons. It is estimated that the celestial artifacts used by the gods are these ancient celestial artifacts. There are 9 dragon bells in total. Are they all divine weapons? Zhang Zizai asked. You fart, your heavenly artifact is cabbage. All the heavenly artifacts now are not priceless treasures. As far as I know, the number of heavenly artifacts in the entire dragon sacrifice divine domain is only 20 or 30. This has been passed down since ancient times. Now, the history of all heavenly artifacts is almost as long as the history of the birth of the entire world. It is rumored that there are other secrets in the heavenly artifacts, which are related to the structure of heaven and earth, but we don't know about it. It's called Kowloon Chaos. Divine Bell. 9 in 1, it is a divine weapon Tuobasia Deo. There are only 20 or 30 people in the entire dragon sacrifice divine realm, and there is one in this holy dragon mountain. No wonder so many people want to come here. Even if 9 of them are one, it is actually shocking enough. Speaking of which, Zhang Zihao was a little bit looking forward to it. He asked, "Why is this Kowloon Bell placed here? Does it have no owner?" Tuobasia shook his head and said, "Of course not. The 9 Dragons Chaos Divine Bell, even among the heavenly artifacts, is a relatively terrifying existence. It is said that the ringing of 9 divine bells at the same time can directly cause a small divine realm to collapse into ashes. History judging from the records, our Supreme Dragon clan once had a god who controlled the 9 Dragons Chaos Divine Bell, but it was not long ago, and the strength was too long ago. Now, in fact, all the gods you know have tried to awaken the 9 dragons' chaos divine bell. But basically failed. This divine weapon has been its own master since a long time, and it has been sleeping for a long time, but even if it is sleeping, it is of great help to our cultivation. I didn't expect this thing to be so terrifying, so I had to take a look. Of course, Zhang Zizai had never seen such an ancient existence, a heavenly artifact that was rumored to be able to shatter the little god realm. He and Tuabasye walked up the steps step by step. The Chaos Thunder Bell is just one of them. It is said that among the heavenly artifacts, there is the spirit of the heavenly artifact, referred to as the god. It is said that the god of the Chaos Thunder Bell is called the Eternal Chaos Blue Thunder Tribulation Dragon. Of course, it is the same as our supreme. The gods of the dragon clan are different. This is a dragon born from heaven and earth, just like the dragon ancestor. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, the gods of all the heavenly artifacts don't seem to have too much wisdom. Like the celestial beast. The so-called divine beasts are divine beasts that are more terrifying than the divine beast king, and have even exceeded the category of divine beasts. While they were talking, Zhang Zizai had already crossed the steps and saw the Chaos Thunder Bell hanging on the stone wall. It was a large cyan bell. At first glance, it seemed inconspicuous at all, but upon closer inspection looking at it, when I kept focusing, my heart started to get hairy. This is not like a weapon, but more like a giant beast. It is sleeping, and it is breathing evenly. It is a huge green dragon, which is more powerful than all the dragons that Zhang Zizai has seen. It's huge, it's so terrifying, so even when it's asleep, it still makes people anxious. Zhang Zizai couldn't take his eyes away, looking at the cyan dragon coiled on the stone wall. Each of its cyan dragon scales seemed to be a lake. It was a cyan thunder pool filled with lightning. There are hundreds of millions of them, but there are countless such thunder pools hidden in its body. Only when you close your eyes for a long time and look again can you see that it is indeed just an ordinary ancient clock. Is this the heavenly artifact? Zhang Zizai was shocked. What he saw and heard today was like opening the door to a new world. Wrong, this is part of the heavenly artifact, Tuabasye corrected. What are they doing? Zhang Zizai found that there were 5 people in front of the Chaos Thunder Bell. 4 of them were sitting. They were sitting cross-legged on the ground and practicing with their eyes closed. One of them was standing in front of the Chaos Thunder Bell, reaching out to touch the Chaos Thunder Bell, and also practicing with his eyes closed. However, he would occasionally use his ancient god source power to hit the Chaos Thunder Bell hard. Every time he hit it, the Chaos Thunder Bell would make a dull sound, and then the light would become stronger, as if the sleeping green dragon had awakened a little bit. What are they doing? Zhang Zizai asked. Take turns, 1 day per person. This is the rule of the Holy Dragon Mountain. First come, first served, just line up. When it's your turn, you can ring the Chaos Thunder Bell. What is the purpose of ringing the Chaos Thunder Bell? Zhang Zizai asked. You'll know once you try it. It depends on luck anyway. Some people are lucky and their cultivation improves greatly, while some people are not at all compatible, so there is no reaction at all. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1121. Zhang Zizai could tell that this should be the creation of the Chaos Thunder Bell. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. After they arrived, the 5 people all looked back. The last man among them left directly, and the faces of the others were not very good either. What are you looking at? If you think there are too many people, go to another place. Tuabasye was very bold. There were many of these people who were stronger than him, but he was not afraid at all. 1 more person means you have to wait an extra day for your turn, which makes many people unhappy. However, only 70 people can enter the entire Holy Dragon Mountain, and there are 9 big bells in total. There may be no one in the other big bells. Zhang Zizai and Tuobaxie were lined up in the distance. Neither of them observed the Chaos Thunder Bell's practice. Zhang Zizai's attention was entirely on the Chaos Thunder Bell. Before going up, he wanted to see clearly what these people were doing. "Operator, what is the mystery of this Chaos Thunder Bell?" He found that people who went up would basically use all their strength to bombard the Chaos Thunder Bell every quarter of an hour, and then touch it again to feel the vibration of the Chaos Thunder Bell. They just didn't know that in this vibration, what they can feel, what they can see. Anyway, it seems that whenever this process happens, they seem to be a little in awe and a little curious. "Wow, it's Mu Xiaoao, so beautiful, tisk tisk, this face, these breasts, these thighs." Tuobaxie suddenly became extremely intoxicated. He didn't look carefully just now, until he realized that someone was changing at this time. He saw the person who was going up now. She is a little beauty wearing a goose yellow short skirt. That little beauty is indeed very attractive. She is playful and cute, youthful and lively, and delicate. She is definitely the top beauty in Zilong Academy, and she belongs to the kind of girl who is in Zilong, a person who can stand out in the academy by his looks. Just like the Mu Xiaoxian of the Xianlong Mu family. Tuobaxie was mesmerized, admiring the figure and face of this beauty. Zhang Zizai also took a few glances. This girl was indeed smart, playful, cute, and as beautiful as a fairy. However, he somehow found that this person seemed a bit familiar. "What did he call her just now?" Zhang Zizai asked. "Mu Xiaoao, you don't know her?" "That's right, you don't know a few people either. You either talked to her sister that day, or you were Mu Xiaoxian who hung out with Huang Fufeng." "This is her sister," Tuobaxie said. "No wonder they look familiar. After all, they are sisters to the beautiful lady in fluttering white clothes. However, their temperaments are completely different. One is gentle and holy, like a pure and noble white lotus, while this Mu Xiaoao is lively, innocent, and like a yellow flower. Colorful daisy." "She's not that old, right?" Zhang Zizai asked. He found that Mu Xiaoao's realm should be similar to that of Tuobaxie. "She's not that big. She's the same age as me and a few days younger than me. But she's really good. She's currently ranked 35th on the Supreme list. Although she's at the same level as me, she has too much capital. I've competed with her. She is not her opponent. This is my goddess. Don't make any decisions," Tuobaxie said with admiration. They are both at the 4th level of the Divine Sovereign, but Tuobaxie is at 92, while she is at 35, which is enough to show how outstanding he is. If she challenges it online, she will probably be in the top 30. In the first 30 years, you can go to a better place than the Holy Dragon Mountain. Now Zhang Zizai still can't figure out where there can be anything better than the 9 Dragons Chaos Divine Bell. Mu Xiaoao is now practicing on the Chaos Thunder Bell. Because she is young, the movement she makes is not as big as the others, but she is also very serious and listens carefully to sense the Chaos Thunder Bell. From her astonished face, from the looks of it, she should have gained something. The time of observation passed very quickly, and soon Mu Xiaoao's day was over. It was Zhang Zizai and Tuobaxie's turn. Tuobaxie stood up and said, "Watch carefully, brother, I will show you." He went up first, and Zhang Zizai sat quietly and watched. He was next. Tuobaxie went up, and Mu Xiaoao came down from the other side. The two of them passed each other. Zhang Zizai didn't see Tuobaxie's playful smile, but saw Mu Xiaoao roll his eyes and move away from him, obviously dissatisfied with the fat man. "How to catch a cold?" "Goddess, don't be so indifferent to me," Tuobaxie said seriously. Go, big ball." Mu Xiaoao stuck out his tongue and ran away. "One of them is thin and the other is fat. She is not as thick as Twabasie's arms, so they obviously don't match each other. Hey! I'm so handsome, you can't even see it. Twabasie's face was full of regret. He walked to the Chaos Thunder Bell and said, "It seems that I can only use my talent to make you, goddess, have a strong interest in me." Shameless Mu Xiaoao had already hid far away. Of course, Twabasia did not waste time. Others urged him to hurry up. After all, everyone else here was at the level of brothers and sisters, and their realms were at least the 7th level of the Divine Lord or above. Zhang Zizai observed for a while. Twabasie's method was the same as that of others. It was not his first time here. Everything was familiar to him. Zhang Zizai looked at it a few more times and learned his methods. "Are you Zhang Zizai?" Suddenly a gust of fragrant wind hit him. Zhang Zizai looked up. The girl was standing behind him, leaning forward and looking at him from above. When he raised his head, he suddenly saw such a pretty face. He was still in a good mood, so Zhang Zizai nodded. Mu Xiaoao sat down next to him, dragging his chin with his hand, blinking his eyes, looking at him, and said, "I saw you talking to my sister that day, but I didn't go there. You know me. We know each other, Twabasia introduced me just now," Zhang Zizai said. Speaking of Twabasia, she frowned and said, "You'd better not get too close to this person. Do you know why he is so fat? That's because he is full of bad water." It seems that she really doesn't like Twabasia. Of course, Zhang Zizai can judge for himself, so he smiled and said, "We just met." She giggled and said, "Actually, I am still quite curious about you. I heard that you are from the small god realm. Under the small god realm, there are many totem worlds and many mortals, endless. It's a pity that there is a ban on the god realm, otherwise I really want to see if it is true or not." That's true. Zhang Zizai came from the totem world, of course he knew it clearly. I didn't expect that this child who grew up in the dragon sacrifice god realm still doubted whether there was really a totem world. "Do you have a touching love story with the immortal venerable? I heard that you came here with your daughter after all the hardships to find her, but it's a pity that the immortal venerable didn't recognize you. It's so pitiful." "How do you know so much?" Zhang Zizai had a headache. "I just like to hear these stories. Tell me, is it true?" "Yes." "Wow, so touching, you are really infatuated. But I heard that you married someone else." Yes." "So you are a heartless person, then why did you come to the divine realm to get married, deliberately to anger her?" Faced with a woman with a burning gossip heart, Zhang Zizai now wants to run away. As a result, Mu Xiaoao stuck to him and kept asking, and couldn't stop at all. This girl is really simple. Zhang Zizai chatted with her casually, and then talked about the gains from this Chaos Thunder Bell. She didn't mind, and talked a lot with Zhang Zizai, so that Zhang Zizai had a lot of mental preparation. Finally, it was his turn. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1122. All the people present were ranked in the top 100 of the Supreme List, which means that when they were at Zhang Zizai's age, they were at least at the 4th level of the Divine Lord. Basically, they were well informed and were the absolute elites among the Supreme Dragon clan. Growing up in the aura, they were also accustomed to all kinds of markets. Even so, when Zhang Zizai came to the Chaos Thunder Bell, they still paid attention to him. After all, it was heard that he had very good luck. He had just been imprisoned in the Forbidden Dragon Xuanhuan and obtained the Forbidden Dragon God phase. In the Zilong Academy, most people were competitors. Although they were not noisy, it was difficult for them to get close to Zhang Zizai's special identity. "Little brother, do as I told you, don't be nervous. When we first came into contact with the 9 Dragons Chaos Divine Bell, we were all confused. Twabasia just came down from there, patted Zhang Zizai on the shoulder, and said earnestly. I understand. Zhang Zizai was now looking at the Chaos Thunder Bell with some fascination. When he stared at the Chaos Thunder Bell, he felt that the Chaos Thunder Bell was also staring at him. This was a feeling of looking at each other between living beings. Unforgettable and profound. By the way, when I was up there, what were you and my goddess talking about? Tuabasia said sneakily. Discussing your handsome face. Zhang Zizai laughed. Tisk tisk, you are really attracted by my appearance. I have already thought of the name of our future child. Tuabasia smiled proudly. Ha ha. Zhang Zizai smiled. Speaking of which, both Tuabasia and Mu Xiaoao are quite interesting, but the key is, who is the good guy and who is the bad guy? Anyway, it has nothing to do with him. His attention now is all on this Chaos Thunder Bell. Huh. After Tuabasia went down, Zhang Zizai forgot everything around him. He only had the Chaos Thunder Bell in his eyes. This ancient bronze bell was full of traces of vicissitudes. The relief on it was a green dragon. The green dragon was wrapped with endless electric wires. It looked at everything in the world with a cold look. This must be the eternal Chaos Green Thunder Dragon. Heavenly artifacts, heavenly beasts, gods, these strange gods have already broken into his life. Next, he had to use all his strength to attack the Chaos Thunder Bell. He formed seals with both hands, condensing the power of the source of destruction. At the same time, the power of the divine body of the holy dragon celestial body was also a part. The superposition of the two made the power of his 5 emperors dragon seal even stronger. Now Zhang Zizai has gradually been able to achieve the superposition of 3 5 emperors dragon seals at the same time. There are a total of 5 dragon seals, which means there are many combinations, and the power of different combinations is different. Because this is the Chaos Thunder Bell, Zhang Zizai does not use the power of the heaven-covering Thunder Dragon Seal. This is obviously a feeling of a small witch meeting a big witch. The 3 dragon seals overlapped, and the 3-headed dragon seals entangled between his palms. At this moment, they suddenly exploded and bombarded the Chaos Thunder Bell. To be honest, the sound of the Chaos Thunder Bell was not strong, but it was more distant and lasting. When Zhang Zizai attacked the Chaos Thunder Bell with the 5 Emperors Dragon Seal, his palm touched the embossed dragon head of the Chaos Thunder Bell and closed his eyes to feel it. Buzz. At that moment, his mind was strongly shaken, as if struck by thunder, and then his eyes suddenly opened up. What he saw was an endless void, in which there were billions of blue thunders. At this moment, these countless blue thunders gathered together to form a terrifying dragon. All parts of its body were blue thunders, visible to the naked eye. Every trace of thunder seemed to be a symbol, containing endless destructive power. Zhang Zizai just saw it clearly and came out of this world. Come again. Although what he felt was a moment, a quarter of an hour had actually passed. He continued to bombard the Chaos Thunder Bell with the 5 Emperors Dragon Seal. He had 1 day to observe it. After that, he would have to wait 5 or 6 days. So he still cherished it very much. He wanted to see the symbols clearly, to see the shock brought by the eternal Chaos Blue Thunder Tribulation Dragon, and the signal that it wanted to convey to Zhang Zizai in its eyes and will. All of this existed. He continued to observe. He knew that what he saw was exactly the same as others. The Chaos Thunder Bell did not favor him. This ancient artifact was indeed an endless mystery. Unknowingly, a day passed. He was immersed in it, and it seemed to have gained something, but it also seemed not to have. Everyone in the Holy Dragon Mountain was very focused. There were sometimes more people and sometimes fewer people at the Chaos Thunder Bell. Zhang Zizai did not go to other places. When there were the least people, there were only 2 or 3 people, and when there were more people, there were 6 or 7 people. So in a month, he lined up about 5 times. In a blink of an eye, he had already set foot here for the 6th time. It's still the same. It seems that I didn't see it for a few times, and the day was over. Zhang Zizai was confused because he couldn't comprehend it. He looked at the Chaos Thunder Bell, which was a holy object in people's eyes. Such holy objects should not be desecrated. But is there any way to get closer to it? Zhang Zizai looked at it for a long time, but he was not in a hurry to do it. He knew that there must be something special about him that would allow the Origin Dragon Cave to give him the source of evolution. How about dripping blood and trying it? This is the most common method. Many people must have tried it on the 9-Dragon Chaos Divine Bell, and it would definitely not have any effect. Zhang Zizai couldn't think of any other way, so he tried his luck. He scratched his palm quietly, and when blood dripped, he used the 5 Emperor's Dragon Seal again, pressing his palm on the position of the dragon head of the embossed blue dragon in the Chaos Thunder Bell. Sure enough, there was no change at all. Zhang Zizai thought to himself that he was really naive. Over the years, there must have been hundreds of millions of supreme dragons who wanted to get this divine weapon, but they must have failed. It is estimated that at least countless people have done this method of dripping blood. Tuabasye was sharp-eyed and saw Zhang Zizai's little trick. He couldn't help laughing and said, "Wow, you are too naive, but you have my style. I did the same a few days ago, haha." He laughed so hard that he fell forward and rolled on the ground. His voice disappeared in Zhang Zizai's ears in an instant. He really saw the blue dragon crawling in the void again. The dragon was so big that he couldn't see the end at all. Zhang Zizai expected that he would leave here again in the next moment. He was ready to use the 5 Emperor's Dragon Seal again. But the next moment, he was stunned. He looked down and was absolutely shocked, because what he saw was that his blood was spurting out from his palm, and the blood was flowing into a river. In just a moment, the blood that spurted out was as much as a river, turning into a blood-colored dragon, rushing towards the eternal Chaos Blue Thunder Tribulation Dragon.